I'd like to introduce our first keynote speaker of day one, and that is none other than Dr. Hans Vijaya Surya, the CEO of Axiata from Malaysia.
Very good morning. It's an honor and privilege to be here this morning to kick off the DTW Asia with the first keynote. I'm honored to be here with my colleagues from the industry, and I promise to set the bar very, very low as we start off this morning. So I'm here to actually share a few thoughts on the conundrum. How do we reposition ourselves to improve our return? How far do we go beyond connectivity? And how far do we need to stretch ourselves to truly reposition and create value? I think the existential question, the statement, the problem is well known to us. A lot of CapEx, very little return. New frontiers of technology, new frontiers of investment, and even more CapEx, and lesser return. We feel vulnerable as telcos because we feel the world is folding in on us as technology frontiers move forward. So indeed, we have to acknowledge that in order to step up our returns, we need to work hard. But work hard on what? And that is the question that I would like to throw a few ideas to this August forum. The prize, $5 trillion, but how far can we go? And how much do we need to stretch ourselves to get our fair share of this pie of value creation? I feel that we need to think beyond connectivity, for sure. But do we also need to think beyond solutioning? So far, we think of the telco stacks, and oh yes, we would help produce some solutions on top. We would facilitate, we would engage with some partners and build. I believe we need to go way, way beyond. We need to get into being an expert in partnering, changing our ways of working, and adopting a co-creation culture. We need to think beyond staying relevant. We need to be ambitious, and we have to talk about unlocking growth, creating growth, and establishing a pivotal position, a crucial position in the value chain within the technology frontiers ahead. Very importantly, beyond connectivity does not just mean on top of connectivity, where we stretch that little bit over and above connectivity. We must remember that the environment ahead is one which is very diverse, one which is distributed, massively distributed, involves ecosystems, multiple actors, multiple players. So many, in fact, that we are talking of tens of thousands of stakeholders in this environment ahead. But we tend to use our network champion or connectivity champion heritage as our main lever. Is this a mismatch? We are trying to attack a distributed problem with a very heavy solution, a heavy set of assets which we consider our core strengths. And this, I think, is something we really need to consider. And is it time to consider that we have an opportunity? It's not a threat, it's a huge opportunity to leverage the broader set of telco assets that we have. So what are these assets? I think some of these would tell you my age, that we go back to the fundamental assets of a telco. Customer relationship, engagement capability, infrastructures to deal with millions of people on one hand, and thousands of stakeholders on the other. Deep consumer knowledge, financial integrity, then the capability to engage and outreach. Very importantly, trust and brand. And of course, our affinity to regulatory processes, our commitment to compliance, our ability to make this bread and butter in the way we do business. Now, this becomes important because of the supporting context that we are working with. In addition to the massively distributed ecosystem we are grappling with, also regulatory scrutiny, the fundamentals of privacy, data protection, etc. There are new fundamentals coming in, which blow the winds in our favor. They are not blowing the winds against us, but we must recognize. And we must recognize that there's a distinct position for the trust holder and local expert, which telcos inherently are. But something to remember, again, given our engineering kind of ethos, that simply building, simply opening our networks, simply exposing a few telco APIs or even hundreds of telco APIs will not cut it. We need to refocus, and we need to do some of those difficult things for us telco people. We need to put effort into orchestration and building of ecosystems. We need to put investment into zero-touch partnering and making it real. Let's look at ourselves. Our partnering APIs, are they really zero touch? Are we enabling platforms which bring in thousands of ecosystems players, whether they be hyperscalers to the smallest developer in some corner of Asia? Are we really zero touch? We need to challenge ourselves. We need to recognize that telcos are not islands, and we need to grasp that huge opportunity of federation and globalization. And last but not least, we must add on to our network APIs the strength of commercial and partner APIs. So new priorities for us: trusted ecosystem orchestration, zero-touch partnering and engagement at scale, global federation. I'll just pick on that last point, global. I think we missed a trick. Going back 25 years, we together, the telcos, the MNOs, created international roaming. It continues to be quite an amazing service. It has shortcomings, but it is an amazing service. Because it is, why is it so? It's templated. It uses standard signaling systems. It uses settlement systems which are seamless, so that you have the likes of commercial APIs, network APIs, and partner APIs, all built in, but with different names. And it created a global communication network, a seamless global communication experience. There's a lot to be desired. But in the 25 years to follow, what did we do? Have we created a single killer use case with federation, which is globally applicable, globally seamless? And this is where I think there's a huge opportunity going forward. If I were to just double click on that country A, we as MNOs would, in the near future, partner not only with a long tail of developers, but also with the hyperscalers. We would establish edge storage, computing, and we would also engage with partners of varying size. We would be able to bridge global hyperscalers all the way to developers in the furthest corners of our net. This is what we need to do using these new skills we are developing, of partnership, zero touch, engagement, orchestration. Now, if we add to this interconnection and global federation, imagine the power that a partner in one part of the world could address audiences in another part with one onboarding action. And we as telcos need to collaborate to do this. No telco is an island. And here we have concepts like the recently launched Open Gateway, APIs and services which are federated, connectivity, settlement, marketplaces, etc. But we need to put effort to play in these areas. We cannot be at the periphery. Telcos need to stretch. And the more we stretch, the higher the proportion of value capture we could expect from the end-to-end service, which is being provided in this new 5G, IR4, Metaverse, Web 3.0. So what is our proposition? What is our call out to the hyperscalers, to big tech, to integrators, to the device manufacturer, ecosystem players like the fintechs, content providers, content curators, even individual customers, and of course, application developers? We would put ourselves forward as the local expert and trust enabler, as the ecosystem and product orchestrator, the provider of a zero-touch onboarding experience, the gateway to global federation, and of course, our core competence, differentiated and zero-touch connectivity as a service. This should be our proposition to the key players in the landscape ahead. But to do this, we don't need too much new tech. I think we already have the tech. We need to stretch ourselves in terms of engagement, partnering, and ecosystem development. So what are we really doing? We are converting an untrusted ecosystem into a trusted experience, a set of trusted experiences and products at global scale. We are providing a trust wrapper. We are providing development facilities for developers and partners. We are bridging local ecosystems to global audiences. And we're also bridging cloud and partner ecosystems and providing app localization. Network, commercial, and cloud API orchestration on top. So the prerequisite is that we need to go out and reach out, develop ecosystems, handhold, engage, whether they're the largest or the smallest partner. Some notes from the Asiata experience, which gives me confidence to talk about this topic of engagement. Over the years, since 2012, we've developed some 120 high-velocity APIs. We today record around 4% of revenue from API business. We engage 70,000 developers, 90,000 applications, and we have app federation across our multiple opcos in Asia. Some of the concepts I was talking about, but no way near the dream that we can all put forward in terms of a global ecosystem which each of us can have a role to play in creating. I won't go into the detail here, but basically the numbers here point to the on-the-ground efforts, having to engage with developers of all shapes and sizes in all countries, ability to deal with hyperscalers and other infrastructure providers, bringing to the table partners, and also abiding with compliance and other regulatory constructs. Our finding and learning was that these three facets need to go hand in hand. On one hand, we have to have faith that partnering and ecosystem development is going to be the differentiator. We need to adopt new ways of working, and we need to transform our IT system. We also need to have a deep belief in the concepts Nick spoke about on the video, embracing the telco to techco transformation, which really means moving from asset-heavy to asset-light, moving from hardware to software, from hard assets to people and culture, and bringing all this together to transform our capabilities in an ecosystem context as opposed to a single monolithic telco context. We found that this agile partnering focus triggered a radical way in the way we worked. We started with a very traditional IT stack, which was fragmented across our region, but driving external API business, engaging with external partners, helped us to also drive internal culture. We adopted the TM Forum ODA architecture, and today we run 30 over TM Forum APIs and recently 5 Open Gateway APIs. This stack enables a Lego-like structure and architecture for our IT systems, which enable any customer journey to be built very, very fast. And we also began to rethink our IT architecture, operating model, and the way of work. This means that as telcos, we need to take on new KPIs. How fast can we onboard a partner? How far have we penetrated a particular ecosystem? What percentage of developers in the market have we onboarded? These are new KPIs to talk about. And how fast do we onboard, and how fast do we take a product to market? Very similar to a digital business. So unless we change the ways we work, change our KPIs, we will remain a non-digital telco. Last but not least, let me leave you with this thought, that we in Asia have a very, very unique opportunity. Asia, on one hand, is heterogeneous. Asian economies range from the most advanced to the poorest countries in the world. On the other hand, we as telcos have infrastructure which is very homogeneous. So we have this situation where we have homogeneous infrastructure in a heterogeneous region. So we have a unique opportunity to make things equal. We have that unique opportunity through collaboration, through aggregation, through ecosystem development, through federation, to bring more and more people onto a common platform. And this will drive the equalization of economies. It will drive equalization of national competitiveness. It will make way for a more equal world. And I think this is a very powerful concept that we as telcos have had over the last decades. We have made big differences. Yes, we have taken connectivity to the furthest points of the world. We have delivered education, financial services. We have equalized. But let's call that Web 2.0 based equalization. Now we need to think of Web 3.0 equalization. So that the next phase, the Web 3.0, 5G, the metaverse, IR4, is not the source and trigger of an even more incisive digital divide, but a very, very powerful digital bridge. And I think we have a great, great opportunity. Thank you very much.
Hans, thank you so much. Please take a seat. Thank you for that. You said you were going to set the bar low. I think you set the bar exceptionally high. And so many great sound bites in there on the important role, but also the opportunity. I can tell from what you're saying, you're very passionate about there being a new path forward for telecoms. And you describe being a local expert, being an ecosystem orchestrator. One thing that stood out to me in what you described there as a USP for this industry is taking, you call them untrusted ecosystems and making them to trusted experiences. Tell us a bit more about that. Is Telco really set to be the organizations that bring that trust to this ecosystem?
We know, I believe, as an industry. But do we have the assets to recreate a positioning on that basis? I think definitely yes. We have to just dig into our own organizations, walk the corridors, the number of compliance people we have, the number of regulatory experts we have, the number of people with thought leadership within our organization, the number of people who know our customers and can convert untrusted into trusted and package products. That's our core skill. That's what we do as bread and butter. Now it's about delayering this, to use your term. Delayering means recognize that each of these skills is not just a backroom function, but a strategic asset. So that we take it out, focus on it, and build this ecosystem, curation, product. And I believe this is a journey of 5 to 10 years. But I believe if we play this role, we have that position, pivotal position in the ecosystem which we need.
Now, Hans, we've been on this journey for some time. We're very proud in TM Forum to be working closely with Axiata, and we mentioned there in the opening that you're running on open digital architecture, one of the first 3 service providers to be doing so. Tell us a bit about what gives you confidence in the journey you've been on so far, and maybe to those in the audience who may be earlier in the journey, what would you highlight to them as important lessons learned in the experiences you've had in building this developer ecosystem?
This question is a little above my pay grade, but like I mentioned earlier, the realignment of our IT systems, IT architecture, actually doing a radical change towards ODA. Mm-hmm. And I think the TM Forum's contribution to this has been enormous as far as the Axiata group is concerned. We've been able to rethink and recreate the building blocks of IT, see them in a different light, and position them in a way which enables zero-touch partnering. Now, it's zero-touch partnering with a developer in an ecosystem in one of our Asian markets. It could be a very 5-customer developer, meaning he's developing something for 5 users or for 10,000 users. Doesn't matter. If you're zero-touch and scalable, you could amass all of these partnerships. And our experience has been that once you perfect the art of engaging digitally, as well as sometimes engaging physically, you need to have that capability to pick up the phone. Because some of our competitors in the largest scale don't pick up the phone. I don't see a telephone number to call if you have a problem. So our experience has been that by building these ecosystems and engaging closely, you could get all the way to, like I mentioned, 4% of revenues from API business. And that's taking a minority share, something like 10-15% of the ecosystem share, which would be close to 85 or 90.
But it shows that it works. I think there's been so much talk, and you said there in your speech about APIs are only one of the factors to get this right. You've been on a long journey to get those lessons learned. You mentioned developer experience as well. And in fact, that's one of the questions we had through Slido is about developer experience. We talk about this a lot in the TM Forum now and saying we're very, as an industry, has spent a decade trying to get good at customer experience. We can argue whether or not we've got there yet as an industry, but developers really are our customers of the future. So how have you learned about developers? Do you see them as customers, or what's their role for you, and how do you get to know how to work with them?
Yes, they're customers, they're partners, and same way we would recruit a customer service assistant or consultant, we would recruit a developer experience consultant, someone who makes it his or her day job to look after the experience of developers. Replicate that digitally and use digital capabilities to enable fast, partner fast, onboard fast, and reduce your time to market. I think there has to be accountability within the organization to build this developer experience. If not, we will not succeed.
Exactly. Now, you talked there as well about the opportunity for Asia. Can I just press you on a little bit further? What will be the unique characteristics of this region that allow it to lead in the opportunity you've set out?
I think our region is very, like I said, diverse from the most advanced markets all the way to the most economically challenged. But something we do have is talent. Mm-hmm. Asian talent in this area is also, I think, overweight. Also, we have the discipline of having created value for the bottom of the pyramid. Asia is very expert in this. So we just need to flip those capabilities, experiences, rewarding experiences that we had, creating value for millions of people, billions in fact, and turning this into a new wave of equalization, new wave of bringing the metaverse, IR 4.0, 5G, Web 3.0 experiences to millions of people on a common platform. An important point here, Nick, is I think we need to replicate what we did 25 years ago to interconnect cleverly, smart interconnection between all the telcos in the region, which would multiply, because if you develop a service in one country for a particular community and the telcos are able to localize, then it's only a matter of a few development steps to take it across Asia. And this is the experience we have had at Axiata with just 6 telcos in an interconnected, federated app and API space.
So Axiata run the proof of concept. You're now seeing it as a meaningful return, meaningful source of income. Now it's time to scale up and really seize the opportunity.
That's right. And see it as a unique and separate business, which adds value, which has the potential to deliver. I'm putting a target out there. Let's try to create 10 to 20% of revenues from ecosystem building in the next 5 to 10 years.
That will go a long way towards reigniting growth, which is our goal here this week. We're almost out of time. Before I finish up, Dr. Hans, tell us a little bit about your expectation of this audience, of the industry as a whole. What do you want to see from the work in bodies like the TM Forum and in the industry at large?
So I think the TM Forum is a perfect platform to bring all the stakeholders together. I must apologize if I spoke very much from a telco heart. But the telco heart is not about rejecting or competing with big tech or hyperscalers. It's about creating a platform for growth for everyone. And I think the approach that, if we take this collaboration approach and make things easier for all players so that it's friction-free, it's single point of partnering and onboarding, regional and global access, I think we'll be adding value to everyone. And putting this message in perspective, balancing the stakeholder interests, and advancing the tech platforms which need to be brought in to enable this delayering, enable this telco to techco transformation is a huge role that the TM Forum is playing today and can continue to play well into the future.
Well, we look forward to continuing on that journey. We're out of time, but a big round of applause, please. Hans, that was fantastic.
Thank you.